Welcome to the very first video of this storytelling bits. We're starting off by looking at Star Wars The Last Jedi. We'll take an in-depth look at the movie via a series of videos about its storytelling, starting off with this episode. To say that it is a divisive movie would be the millionth time it has been said. Honestly, I do not need to hammer that down anymore. In this mini-series, I will be taking a look at the movie via, as the name of this channel suggests, a storytelling perspective. Because at the heart of many of this movie's issues lies a storytelling mechanism gone wrong or misused. So without further ado, let's get on with it with episode 1, Reys Parents.
Say it. Say it.
They were nobody.
They were filthy junk traders who sold you off for drinking money. The dead in a pauper's grave in the Jakku desert.
There you have it, folks. Reys Parents are no one special. She's not a Kenobi, not a Skywalker, not a Sidious clone, and definitely not Jar Jar Binks' offspring.
On second thought, no, not really, no.
So okay, she's not anything special in terms of bloodline. That's fine, she doesn't need to be. You need not stem from the Skywalker bloodline to be strong in the Force. I mean, the lore has already established as much. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of Jedi before they all got bamboozled by the clones during Order 66 in Revenge of the Sith. So why are people upset about this reveal? It's the setup. The Force Awakens alludes to something when it comes to Rey's parents. Heck, they are the reason she rejects the so-called call to adventure, which is part of the hero's journey. There's a link in the description that'll take you to a page which explains that in full. Rey rejects it up to 3 times. The first time when she meets BB-8, the second time when she meets Finn, and the third time when Han offers her a job. In Maz Kanata's castle, when Rey touches Luke's lightsaber, the visions show her as a child screaming, "No, don't go," presumably at her parents. This particular scene tells us, the audience, that this is something to keep in mind. Even after the visions, Rey still doesn't want to believe it. Maz Kanata says it to her plain and clear.
Whomever you're waiting for on Jakku, they're never coming back.
The loss of Han Solo affects Rey because she looked at him as a substitute father figure. Kylo Ren addresses that very fact in The Last Jedi, telling Rey that she can't stop needing her parents. She used Han and is now using Luke as substitute. Rey is looking for some sort of parent figure because she is actually looking for her real parents. Beside the mystery of her parents, there isn't much to look into when it comes to Rey. She hasn't got a clearly defined goal or a certain established belief that is challenged within these movies. She lacks an internal conflict, thus she lacks a character arc. What I mean to say is that her parents, or lack of parents, are an important part of her character. The mystery of her parents is the hook that we as an audience are presented with that summons intrigue into her character. The fact that fans, be they casual or diehard, have gone nuts on theories for the past 2 years should be testament of that. But what does it result into? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The mystery, the intrigue, it is slapped away like a cat pushing your favorite mug off the table. The expectations of there being something more to her lineage is subverted. Subversion of expectations is a storytelling technique that can work really well. Severus Snape in the Harry Potter franchise is a good example. His subversion at the end of the series is unexpected and we get an entirely different picture of the character. But it works because instead of our expectations being met, it is subverted and we get something even better in return. That doesn't happen with Rey. This is what makes subverting expectations a tricky mechanism. What you're giving your audience other than what they expect needs to be either more interesting or more satisfying. Another storytelling mechanism that is involved as well is one often referred to as Chekhov's gun. Roughly explained, if you show a gun in the beginning of your story, you have to use that gun before you reach the end. Makes sense, right? Why else introduce the gun? The same is true for Rey's parents. Why make such a big mystery out of them if all you're going to make them out to be is nobodies? So, with that in mind, the problem isn't so much the reveal in The Last Jedi, it is in the setup in The Force Awakens. So, does that make this J.J. Abrams' fault? should he not have made the parents into a mystery, which he likes to do? Not necessarily, but it is also too easy to point the finger at Rian Johnson. The underlying problem with this is the lack of vision for the whole trilogy. Rian Johnson has already admitted that he had full creative control over The Last Jedi and that there was never an outline of where the story was heading towards. In fact, there was never a plan for all 3 movies, only ever for The Force Awakens. This is honestly what bugs me the most as a storyteller. A rule of thumb when you're crafting your story is that you know where your end station is. Doesn't matter if you're making 1 movie, 3 movies, or 7 movies, you'll need to know the end before you begin. Otherwise, you'll end up with no direction, and that leads to all sorts of problems, one of which is setups without proper payoff, or vice versa. So to conclude, people are disappointed with the reveal of Reys Parents because it ends in nothing. The expectation is subverted, but we get nothing interesting or satisfying in return. A setup without a satisfying payoff. In the next video, we'll take a look at Supreme Leader Snoke and why his sudden death and lack of backstory caused for such an uproar. Thank you so much for watching the very first video of the storytelling bits and the first episode in this series. I hope to see you in the next one and in all subsequent parts. Perhaps this channel may grow into something worthwhile and thereby offer some insight into the world that is storytelling. That is a wrap, and until the next story, bye bye.